Пані та панове, зустрічайте.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome the President of Ukraine, Volodymyr Zelenskyy. Thank you very much. Glory to Ukraine. Thank you very much. Please take your seats.
Шановні наші гості,
Dear guests,
перші леді,
distinguished first ladies and gentlemen,
дорога Олено,
dear Olena,
шановна прем'єр-міністр Данії, Мете,
dear Prime Minister of Denmark, Mette, dear participants,
радий вітати вас всіх.
it's a great delight of mine to welcome you all here. Thank you very much for the invitation.
Вітати всіх на третьому київському
I'm very
саміті
pleased to
перших
welcome
леді.
you at the third Kyiv summit of first ladies and gentlemen.
Українській
I'm overflowing with joy
це буде результативною.
that our Ukrainian policy succeeds in being efficient and high-performing. History is moved by decisions, but each and every robust decision is filled with the energy of an emotion preceding the making of this decision, and this is something that opens up the way for this decision. It can be a strong outburst. It can be a very subtle, but nonetheless not less important emotion. There are also special emotions that take people to the streets, that color streets with flags and slogans. But there are also emotions that only one single person should feel, or one single parliament should be exposed to. And this is something that serves as an inflection point for history. Ukraine knows how to make our history different by dint of the diplomacy of emotions, the soft power of our country, because this soft power is eloquent and it talks with the soul of each and every nation. And we are so vociferous and vocal that this world is filled with the decisions that are winners and winning solutions for people in the first place and nations as well. And it's also important for these decisions to be grounded in the foundation of emotions, but not only that foundation. And it's not sufficient just to make decisions. There has to be a systemic approach to make emotions decisions and turn decisions into specific results. Our emotional power has the systemic nature, and this is something that reinforces Ukraine, makes our country stronger. Dear ladies and gentlemen, I'm very happy that we launched this format, the Summit of First Ladies and Gentlemen. It has grown into a platform for Ukraine and our partnering countries. We have Denmark, the Czech Republic, the United States, Lithuania, Estonia, Serbia, Slovenia, Slovakia, Moldova, Poland. I would like to extend my profuse gratitude to all of these opinion leaders from Great Britain, France, and other countries alike. Thank you very much for bringing this format to fruition.
Дякуємо вам. І формат дійсно
My thanks go to you. The format has been translated into reality. The summit is taking place here right now. I'm very grateful to all of you and Olena for the high-level organization. The summit is a testament to the fact that people have enormous potential. Maybe they do not govern institutions, but basically they have the fortitude and power that cannot be offered by institutions because they have the fortitude and strength of generosity. And at such summits, we can be exposed to arguments and tones of voices that cannot be heard from politicians and some other decision makers. By dint to Olena and her communications in Europe and the United States, we have been able to achieve progress in terms of protecting our sky and getting air defenses. But it's all about the soft power, because this is something that became a robust foundation that opened up multiple windows of opportunity. The Republic of Korea, we have succeeded in relaunching and reinvigorating our relationships. And the governmental representatives from Ukraine visited this country. There was also a delegation led by the First Lady of Ukraine, and we had a great opportunity to have meetings with the opinion leaders and society in Korea, so this opened a new page in our history. And then the Prime Minister of Korea visited our country. The last year's summit of First Ladies and Gentlemen was dedicated to the recovery and reconstruction of Ukraine after the war. We encompassed a wide variety of issues and challenges, and there is a need for colossal support globally. I'm very grateful to those countries and their leaders who have already spoken out about their willingness to support Ukraine with its post-war recovery and reconstruction. Our foreign policy is aimed at making sure that the recovery of Ukraine turns into a global project, and I would like to take advantage of this opportunity and express my profuse gratitude to Meta. She's present here because we will have our first office on the recovery of Mykolaiv. Thank you very much indeed from the bottom of my heart.
Чи ти про це повинна була сказати?
Maybe you should have said that, or you wanted to say that. I might have jumped ahead.
Крім рівня держав і міжнародних організацій,
But it's not only about countries and international organizations. We also have social figures and leaders. We have benefactors. We have business representatives. We have companies that are guided by moral and ethical principles and make choices based on that. And thanks to them, we have reliable partners in the process of recovery. They know how to work in a systematic manner, and they know how to achieve results through our soft power. We've been able to purchase resuscitation vehicles for Ukraine, for our people, for our heroes, for our military. And I believe that it's only fair and just to give a rapturous round of applause to those who are defending our country day in, day out. And I also want to say a big thank you to all the leaders present here for everything that you are doing. We have shelters open in the school. This is something that secures protection for our children. And we also have well-equipped hospitals for Ukraine's armed forces. This summit launches yet another important space for actions. It's a large-scale platform, even bigger than all the things that I referenced before. The topic of mental health is paramount to our country, and it goes beyond medicine, therapy, and practices that should be available to all people in a modern society, especially in a society experiencing the most difficult challenge ever, a war. It's about what a society can do, what a society should do, and it's also about what a society should be wary about. It was not by happenstance that I started my talk today with talking about power and the importance of emotions. The mental and spiritual strain is one of the biggest burdens of the war on our shoulders. And unfortunately, not everyone can soldier through this baggage. Not everyone can withstand with baggage. And we know from the history of the previous wars that this mental burden can be a detrimental and destructive factor for people and societies. And usually this burden is preceded by outbursts of emotions. This is something that can push you towards life, but at the same time, emotions can rupture any life and the history of any family, any individual, the history of life, the history of peace. The post-war world is very vulnerable to emotions, the accumulated baggage of emotions that will stay with people for a long time. And over time, this baggage becomes intolerable. A war is a challenge that will not vanish into thin air even when the hostilities are over. A war smothers, a war continues beating you from the inside because there's still suffering, there are still losses resulting from the war. We cannot leave anyone behind. We cannot leave anyone on the sidelines. With this war, with the implications and ramifications of the war, with what the war does to the mind and soul of each and every person, each and every city and village decimated by artillery fire in Ukraine is scorched with the souls. Each and every deceased fellow soldier can become a chasm between the military and the society that tries to continue living its life. Every time a child sees blood upon wounds, this child witnesses the worst that the adult world can offer. We have a panoply of these tragic examples. The resilience of people has its limit. Everyone has their limits. There are limits to emotions. There are limits to the invisible baggage of feelings that people are guided by. They can act for the sake of goodness or evil, light or darkness. They can act to the detriment of themselves or to the detriment of their family members and society as a whole. Whether this will translate in reality is determined by the mental world of every individual. But that's why we need to make sure that we are taking good care of people's health, that we do not really turn it into the chronic disease of this war. I'm very grateful to this large representation at the summit dedicated to the topic of mental health. It's a special domain and that requires dedicated attention not only on the part of our countries. This topic requires new institutions, new areas of rehabilitation. We need to train personnel. We need to introduce new policies. We require new aid, not only aid, but interaction and cooperation. There's also a need for enhanced respect and regard for people, a better understanding and sincerity among people. So it's not only about diplomacy, emotions. We need to apply soft power in the systematic manner. But once again, all this needs to be geared not towards external emotions, but towards the internal world of people to make sure that people will win side by side with their government, with their state. The war always leaves behind whatever is superfluous, whatever is not essential, whatever is empty. But the war leaves people with what we need to be able to leave behind. We need to leave behind everything and anything that destroys life. We must build a system that will free us from this destruction and devastation. And I really hope that each outburst of emotion will help us make this pathway forward lighter and more filled with light. Thank you very much. Glory to Ukraine. Mr. President, thank you very much